The ChronoForge portal opens with a violent crack of blue light, and before I can regain my balance, I stumble onto a muddy street surrounded by timber frame houses, leaning precariously over narrow alleys. The portal vanishes behind me with a low hum, leaving only silence broken by distant church bells and the cawing of ravens. According to my ChronoForge wrist display, the date is October 1348. I have arrived in London during the height of the Black Death.
This is not a movie set or a reconstruction. This is the real city, and for the next 24 hours, my only goal is to survive. The first thing that hits me isn't what I see, it's what I smell. The air is thick with smoke from hundreds of fireplaces burning damp wood and coal.
Mixed into it is the overwhelming odor of human waste, rotting food, animal manure, and stagnant water flowing through open gutters. There is no modern sanitation here. Every breath reminds me that disease doesn't need an invitation to spread. The streets are crowded but strangely subdued. People avoid one another whenever possible. Some hurry by with cloth wrapped tightly around their noses, while others whisper prayers under their breath. Fear has become part of everyday life. Every stranger might already be infected. As I walk toward the bustling market near Cheapside, merchants are still trying to sell bread, fish, candles, cloth, and vegetables, pretending life is normal, but the tension is impossible to ignore. The market itself is the heart of London. Everything the city needs passes through here: food, cloth, livestock, spices, and news. But today, the conversations aren't about prices. Everyone is asking the same question: who died last night?
No one knows exactly how this sickness spreads. Some blame poisoned air, others believe it is God's punishment.
I notice something that makes the entire market fall silent. A wooden cart is slowly making its way down the street. Everyone quietly steps aside. For them, there is no escape, no medicine. Every sunrise brings of uncertainty, and every sunset leaves fewer neighbors alive.
Modern historians estimate that the Black Death would eventually kill between 1/3 and 1/2 of Europe's population. But standing here today, no one knows that. For them, tomorrow still feels possible.
As I continue deeper into the city, I begin noticing small red crosses painted on several wooden doors, until I realize every marked house is strangely silent.
A young woman quietly leaves a small loaf of bread and a bucket of water outside one of the houses. She knocks once, then immediately walks away without waiting for anyone to answer. Such a simple, kind act during such hard times. It shows the resilience of these people.
Children are still playing in the street. They laugh and invent games through the mud. Watching them is heartbreaking, no idea how much their world is about to change.
Then I hear it, the church bells begin ringing again. Not for a celebration, not for a wedding, another funeral. And judging by the faces around me, this has become an ordinary sound.
The city's physicians are doing everything they can. They examine patients, prescribe herbs, bleed the sick, and burn fragrant plants, but nothing seems to stop the disease. I ask one physician whether anyone is recovering. Some do.
But far too many never leave their homes again.
There was no cure in 1348. As the sun begins to sink, the streets slowly empty. Families hurry home before darkness falls. Doors close. Night arrives quickly. Oil lamps replace the sun, and London disappears into shadow. But even after dark, the city never becomes completely silent. Then, somewhere in the darkness, I hear wheels, slow, heavy, wooden wheels. Everyone nearby immediately stops talking. The cart passes slowly beneath the lantern light. It's covered with rough canvas, and no one on the street tries to look underneath. They already know why it's here.
I follow the cart from a distance. No one tells me to stop. No one asks where I'm going. They simply keep their eyes on the ground, as though they've already learned that some journeys should be walked in silence.
The cart finally stops outside a small churchyard. There is no crowd, no ceremony, only a priest waiting. The priest opens his prayer book.
In nomine Patris et Filii
And begins speaking in Latin.
Dominus vobiscum et cum spiritu tuo.
Grief sounds the same in every language. When the prayer ends and everyone quietly returns to the night. As I leave the churchyard, I realize something unsettling. London isn't collapsing. It isn't filled with panic. It's adapting. And my wrist tracker says it's just after midnight. The Black Death has only recently reached London. Most of the city still believes the worst can be avoided. History knows better. I've decided to stay until sunrise. If I want to understand how London faced the Black Death, I can't just watch its tragedies. I have to witness its ordinary mornings too.
The first bell rings before sunrise. Across London, people wake, light their fires, open their workshops, and step into another day. I expected fear. Instead, I found routine. The butcher sharpens his knives. The baker sells warm bread. Children laugh on their way through the market. History often hides its greatest disasters inside completely ordinary days.
By midday, I'll see more funerals. By next week, there will be fewer merchants in this market. Within months, thousands of these voices will be gone. But this morning, London is still alive.
But history is about to speed up. Over the next few weeks, London won't simply lose people, it will lose neighbors, families, apprentices, merchants, and voices that have echoed through these streets for generations. The disease doesn't arrive with a trumpet or an army. It moves silently, from one handshake, one shared cup, one crowded home to the next. Most people don't even realize history has already entered the city. Then something changes. The conversations become quieter. People begin looking over their shoulders, not because they understand the disease, but because they realize something is terribly wrong. A merchant tells me another street has lost 3 families in only a few days. No one knows whether the story is true. But for the first time, people stop arguing about prices and start talking about survival.
I follow the whispers toward one of London's narrow residential lanes. No crowds, no shouting, just a street where too many doors remain closed long after the morning has begun.
Then I see the first house that no one wants to approach. The street isn't blocked, no guards stand outside. People simply choose to walk around it, leaving an empty space where life used to flow.
It isn't just the sickness anymore, it's the silence. She says entire households once filled these streets with laughter. Now they keep their doors closed all day. The parish priest tells me they're holding more funerals than ever before. Not all are for plague victims, but every burial now makes the next family wonder, will we be next? The cemetery is already changing. New graves appear faster than the old earth has time to settle. The gravedigger tells me he's never worked so many days without rest.
By afternoon, London hasn't stopped living. But everywhere I go, people are watching each other differently. Every cough, every absence, every closed door now carries a question no one wants to ask. I ask one merchant if business has slowed.
People still need bread, but they no longer linger. They buy what they need, then hurry home.
He looks at me for a moment and quietly replies. I pass an apothecary, and the line outside is longer than any bakery I've seen today. People aren't buying miracles. They're buying hope, dried herbs, fragrant oils, and anything that might help protect their families. As the afternoon fades, I realize something important. London isn't collapsing overnight. It's changing one small decision at a time. A conversation cut short. A handshake never offered. A door closed just a little earlier than yesterday. The sun is setting over London now. From above, the city still looks peaceful. Chimneys smoke, church bells ring, markets have closed. If you didn't know what was coming, you would never imagine that within months, this city would lose an enormous share of its population. Night is falling. One by one, windows begin to glow with firelight. Families gather for supper, children laugh inside warm homes, and tomorrow is already being planned. They don't know history is about to divide their lives into before and after.
I decide to stay outside after dark. Most people have already gone home. The city hasn't fallen silent, but it now whispers instead of speaks. Then, somewhere in the darkness, a church bell rings only once. It isn't calling people to prayer. It tells the neighborhood that someone has died during the night. The watchman notices me listening to the silence. He smiles sadly and says,
The nights are different now. People sleep.
but not as deeply as they once did.
Before I return to my shelter, I stop at a small parish church. The doors are still open. Inside, a handful of people kneel in silent prayer. No one speaks. Some pray for healing. Others simply pray for tomorrow. Outside, the city feels even quieter. I realize something unsettling. The Black Death hasn't changed London overnight. It is changing it one conversation, one empty chair, one unanswered knock at a time. Near midnight, I climb to the upper room where I'm staying. The city outside is almost completely dark. Only scattered windows still glow. Somewhere beyond the rooftops, another church bell echoes through the night.
I wake before dawn. For a few moments, London is completely still. No carts, no merchants, and the feeling that the city is holding its breath.
Then the first sound breaks the silence. A rooster crows. A church bell answers. Somewhere below, a baker unlocks his door. London begins another day, believing it is simply repeating yesterday. Standing here, it's almost impossible to believe that this ordinary morning will soon become one of the defining moments in human history. Nobody in these streets knows they're living inside a chapter that people will still study nearly 700 years from now. History books often describe the Black Death using numbers, millions dead, entire villages abandoned. But standing here, I can't see statistics. I only see people beginning another ordinary day. Here, children play, and elderly couple walks together. This is the true face of history. Centuries later, historians would analyze tax records, parish registers, wills, and burial rolls to understand what happened here. But none of those documents can capture the sound of these streets or the feeling of standing among the people who lived them. As I prepare to leave this moment in history, one truth stays with me. The people around me are not characters in a story. They are living their real lives. They simply don't know the chapter they're living has already been given a name.
The ChronoForge portal is ready. My time here is ending. But London's story is only beginning, and its echoes will shape Europe for generations.
Before I go, I want to leave you with one final look. Not at tragedy, but at the remarkable resilience of a city that kept living, working, praying, and hoping through extraordinary uncertainty. History isn't made only by kings, generals, or famous explorers. It's also written by bakers opening their ovens, children laughing in the streets, craftsmen beginning another day's work, and families simply trying to live.
The ChronoForge portal has locked onto my own timeline. It's time to go home. But I'll never look at medieval London, or history itself, the same way again.
If this journey reminded you that history is filled with real people, not just dates and battles, then come with me again. There are thousands of stories still waiting inside the ChronoForge. Where should the ChronoForge take us next? Ancient civilizations, lost kingdoms, legendary voyages, or history's greatest disasters? Tell me in the comments, and I'll see you in the next adventure. I'm the ChronoForge Reborn traveler. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, history was once someone's present. I'll see you in the next journey.